Welcome to CMP 375 Human Computer Interaction class, week 1. And in this week we are going to cover what is interaction design and understanding and conceptualizing interaction. So before we jump to interaction design, we need to understand what is a design. So guys, what's wrong with this picture? There are two remotes. One on the left is a peanut shape which is easy to fit in a hand, and on the other hand there is another Apex remote. If you compare the both, not only from the ergonomics perspective, look at the logical layout of the color coded buttons, which make it easy to locate whatever the function and the user want to perform. So the left side is a good design and the right side Apex is a bad design. So the question arises, what to design? Basically we need to take into account who the users are, who are our audiences, and what activities are they doing and what kind of interaction is taking place. We also need to optimize the interaction of our users with the product so that they match the user activities and the needs. So understanding user needs need to take into account what the users or the people are good at and bad at. We must also consider what are the ways they are currently doing or using those gadgets. We should also listen to our users and audiences, what they really want and want to get out of it. So what is an interaction design? According to Sharp, Rogers and Priest, designing interactive products to support the way people communicate and interact in their everyday lives. And then there is a old definition also, the design of spaces for human communication and interaction. So let's talk about what should be the goal of interaction design. Basically, to develop a usable product, that is the ultimate goal. And what it means is that its product should be easy to learn, effective to use, and the user or our stakeholders should have an enjoyable experience. It also should have a goal of involving the users who are going to ultimately use the product in the design process. So which kind of design are we talking about? It could be a user interface design, software design, or user-centered design. web design, or experience design. Interaction design is basically an umbrella term which covers many disciplines and many fields. So wide variety of research areas are there which are being studied as we talking. How to design a perfect interactive system which will be able to adapt to the environment and the people needs and the requirements. Will able to come up to the needs and the requirements. Let's look at next slide, the big picture of HCI. So folks, this is the big picture of HCI and interaction design. As you can see, it covers all aspects of interaction. We are talking about the graphical design as well, ergonomics, psychology of the user, how he is going to interact with the gadget or our system. Then cognitive science also, computer science and engineering, social sciences, sociology, anthropology, pervasive computing, human-computer interaction is there, information system, film industries standards, artist design, product design, graphic design, all encompasses under HCI and interaction design. So it's a wide variety of area which are we going to cover in this course. So just to give an idea, different kind of jobs which are available in ID, interaction design. There are many professional categories where interactive designers are working. One is known as a role of interaction designer, and he is the one they are the one who are involved in the design of all interactive aspects of the product. Talking about usability engineers as well, many jobs out there nowadays, people who just focus on evaluating the products from usability perspective. They use different kind of usability methods and principles which we will be also studying during this course. Then there are information architects as well, who comes with the idea how to plan and structure the interactive products, and user experience designers, like people who do all the above but who may also carry out field studies to inform the design of the product. The user experience is very important. How the way the people feel about it, their pleasure and satisfaction they get out of it after they have used the product or they are using while holding. Now look at this iPod Nano Touch when it was launched. Why do you think iPod user experience was such a success? Any suggestion? Any idea? It was a success story because quality user experience from the start. The design was simple, elegant, and pleasurable for its users. The names used were catchy and cool. So, what is involved in the process of interaction design? First of all, establishing the requirements. Obviously, after gathering it, then coming up and developing alternatives, options or choices. When one of the alternative or option or the number of alternative or options have been shortlisted, then creating the prototypes. And when the prototypes has been selected, then evaluating it. So we must understand the usability of the product. And what should be the goals of usability? Effective to use, efficient to use, safety features should always be looked after, and learning curve. And then the user should not be able to use too much of his memory. So easy to remember how to use it. So what is wrong here? What do you think the design of the backplane of the CPU is? Is it a logical or ambiguous design? If you look at students, it's very hard to figure where to plug the mouse. And although they have provided the color coding, but those color coded icons, are they helpful? The answer is no. So in a nutshell, interaction design is concerned with designing interactive products to support the way the people interact with it or will be interacting with it in their daily lives or every day. It is concerned with how to create quality user experience. It requires taking into account number of independent factors like cultural differences, users groups, and we must understand it is a multidisciplinary domain which involves many inputs from wide-reaching disciplines and fields. So we need to now understand the problem space so we can have enough information for us to design a good interactive design. So we need to get the answers. What do you want to create? And what assumptions we are taking? And what the end user wants to achieve by having this kind of design or this product which they are trying to sell. So assumptions, basically taking something for granted. So look at this picture. People want to watch TV while driving, isn't it? That is an assumption. Writing down your assumptions and claim, and then trying to defend and support them can highlight those that are vague or wanting. In so doing, poorly constructed design ideas can be reformulated, explicating people assumptions and claims about why they think something might be a good idea or not. Enables the design team as a whole to view multiple perspectives on the problem space, and in so doing reveals conflicting and problematic ones. For example, multimodal style of interaction for controlling GPS. One that involves speaking while driving. Is it safe? That is a question to be answered. We need to have a framework for analyzing the problem space by answering the questions like, are there problems with existing product or user experience? Why do you think there are problems? And how do you think your proposed design idea might overcome these? Then, if you are designing for a new user, how do you think your proposed design ideas support change or extend current ways of doing things? So, let's do an activity. Basically, we want to see what kind of assumptions and claims were made about three-dimensional TV when it was introduced in 2010. If you do remember, folks, there was much hype and fanfare about enhanced user experience it would offer, especially when watching TV, sports, events, and drama. So an assumption was that the people would not mind wearing the glasses that are needed to see three-dimensional TV, nor would they mind paying a lot more for a new 3D enabled TV screen. A claim was that the people would really enjoy the enhanced clarity and color details provided by the 3D based on favorable feedback received worldwide when viewing three-dimensional films such as avatars at a cinema. But the unanswered question was, could the enhanced cinema experience resemble a desired living room experience? There is no existing problem to overcome. What is being proposed is a new way of experiencing TV. A user experience question is, how will people take to wearing the special glasses in their living room? How they feel about it? Will it become a norm for them to carry it around? And then carrying it out when they are not watching TV at home or their families or friends? Could they even be designed to become a fashion item? These questions needed to be answered. So assumptions, realistics, or wish list. People would not mind wearing the glasses that are needed to see in 3D in their living room, reasonable. But people would not mind paying a lot more for a new three-dimensional TV screen. That's not reasonable. The next one, people would really enjoy the enhanced clarity and color detail provided by 3D, reasonable. Will people be happy to carry around their own special, reasonable only for a very select bunch of users. Everybody doesn't like to carry it around. One important thing to be remembered whenever you are conceptualization an idea of design, you need to be oriented. So orientation enables design teams to ask specific questions about that specific domain, problem space. They need to be open-minded and they should have some common grounds, some agreed terms. So now from problem space to design space, there is also an assumption that all images will be better when viewed in 3 dimensions. But whilst it may be a joy to see your team score a goal, will it by the same token be more painful to watch the opponent score? And what about those who like to catch up on the news while eating breakfast and reading meals on their laptop? Will it be unpleasant having to constantly switch between the real world 2-dimensional TV display and the 3 dimension? Or will it becomes second nature? So, little bit more about the conceptual model, the way it has been described in the text, a high level description of how a system is organized excuse me, and operates. Folks, always keep in mind when making design decision how the user will understand the underlying conceptual model. What will be the user be doing when carrying out their task? How will the system support these? What kind of interface metaphor, if any, will be appropriate? What kind of interaction modes and style to use? The best conceptual models are those that appear obvious, the operation they support being intuitive. Sometimes, however, applications can end up being based on overly complex conceptual models, and this happens when there are series of upgrades and assumed and based on the original conceptual model. Most interface applications are actually based on well-established conceptual model. For example, a conceptual model based on the core aspects of the customer experience when at shopping mall underlies most online shopping websites. Interface metaphors are intended to provide familiar entities that enable people to readily understand the underlying conceptual model and know what to do at an interface. However, they can also contravene people's expectation about how things should be, such as a recycle bin that used to sit on the desktop. Logically and culturally, it should have been placed under the desk, but user would not have been able to see it because it would be occluded by the desktop surface, so it needed to go on the desktop. Some users find this irksome, but some did not find it to be a problem. Once they understood why the bin icon was on the desktop. They simply accepted it being there. Now look at this interface metaphors. Which is best and why? In many cases, new interface metaphors rapidly become integrated into common parlance, as witnessed by the way people talk about them. People surf the net, poke their friends, and leave messages on their wall in the same way they would talk about winning an argument or saving time. As such, the interface metaphors are no longer talked about as familiar terms to describe the less familiar computer-based action. They have become everyday terms in their own rights. Moreover, it is hard not to be metaphorical terms, to use metaphorical terms when talking about technology use, as they have become so ingrained in the language we use to express ourselves. So let's do another activity. Describe the components of the conceptual model underlying most online shopping websites. For example, shopping cart, proceeding to checkout, one-click, gift wrapping, cash till. This includes the placements of items a customer wishes to purchase into a shopping cart or basket, proceeding to checkout when ready to make the purchase. A variation, which is also based on what happened in physical store, is making a booking where new items are added before proceeding to pay. Making a purchase online is an undertaking with risk, and people want to feel they are making the right choice. Designing the interface to have a familiar metaphor make it easier for people to know what to do at different stages of making a purchase. Importantly, placing an item in the basket does not commit the customer to purchase it there and then. It also enables them to browse further and select other items as they might in a physical store. So there are many different kinds of interactions. Instructing, issuing the commands, selecting options, conversing, interacting with the system as if having a conversation, manipulating, interacting with the object virtually or physically, and then exploring, moving through a virtual environment or a physical space. Now look at this picture. Which is easiest and why? The first vending machine has been designed using simple instruction. There is a small number of drinks to choose from, and each is represented by a large button on the left picture. For each drink, user simply has to press one button and should have the effect of returning the selected thing. The second machine on the right is more complex, offering a wide range of snacks, trade-off for providing more choices. However, is that the user can no longer instruct the machine by using a simple one press button action, but is required to use more complex process like reading of the codes and then choosing, keying this in the number, add adjacent, checking the price, and so far and so on. Problems that can arise from this type of interaction are the customer misreading the code and miskeying the code, resulting in the machine, not issuing the snack or providing the wrong item. A better way of design an interface for a large number of choices variant cost might be to continue to use direct mapping, but use buttons that shows miniatures versions of the snacks placed in the large matrix. This would use available space at the front of the vending machine more economically. The customer would need only to press the button of the object chosen and put in the correct amount of money. There is less chance of error resulting from pressing the wrong codes. The trade-off for the vending company, however, is that the machine is less flexible in terms of which snack it can sell. If a new product line comes out, they will also need to replace part of the physical interface to the machine, which would be costly. So, which conceptual model is best? Direct manipulation, by designing, drawing, flying, driving, or issuing instructions, spell checking, file management, or having a conversation is a good for children like phone services. Or hybrid conceptual models are often employed where different ways of carrying out the same action is supported at the interface but can take longer to learn. So conceptual models, interaction and interface. When we talk about interaction type, it means what user is doing, for example instructing, talking, browsing and other. And then the other type, which is interface, like speech, menu based, gesture. So many kinds of interface types are available: command, speech, data entry, form fill, query, augmented realities. All are very much valid but needs to have the appropriate application. So which interaction type to choose? We need to determine the requirements, user needs, budget and other constraints. It's also depend on suitability of technology for the activity which is supposed to be supported. This is covered in course when designing conceptual models. So there are many frameworks that can be used. So what is a framework? Basically set of interrelated concepts or specific questions for what to look for. Many in interaction design, Norman's conceptual model, Benford trajectories. They also provide advice on how to design, like step by step questions, concepts, challenges, principles. Now let's look at a new framework which is being proposed in this book by Rogers. Frame of reference: in the past, user; for future, context, method, theories and perspective. Past is scientific approach, interaction design; future, heuristic, mixing. Outputs: past was ethnographics, models and tools for analysis, design guidelines. Future is insight, creating new ways of experiencing. value-based analysis. So to sum up this week, it's important to have good understanding of this problem space. And fundamental aspects of an interaction design is to develop a conceptual model. Interaction moods and interface metaphors provides a structure for thinking about what kind of conceptual model to develop. Interaction styles are specific kind of interfaces that are instantiated as part of conceptual model. Paradigm, theories, models and framework can also shape a conceptual model. Thank you.